How's the weather out there?
Hot, and where I'm in South Carolina right now at the beach, and it is hot and muggy. It's just like perfect beach weather.
You're in South Carolina.
I just for the weekend.
Oh, just for the weekend?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's our Labor
Yeah.
Day tradition to go to the beach with friends
Okay. How long are you going to be there?
until Monday. Oh, you froze for a second.
Nice. Got the kids with you?
The
You got the
kids,
kids with you? Are they all home now? Or are they?
they're all well, so to my kids are all well, one is in a college and she's virtual learning while living on campus in an apartment, so and living the college dream. It's great. And then my two other ones, they're at home right now, finished, they're waiting for the other people's kids, and they're all going to drive together. So we got, the kids drive separately from the parents now.
Okay. Well, look, we're going to get started here. And guys, if you just tuned in, I've got a very, very, I consider a friend, Dr. Anna Maria Temple, and we met back in October of 2017, and I'm going to let her talk a little bit about her story. But you guys are in for a real treat. Dr. Anna Maria is someone that has a lot of courage. She's got a great story that I love stories, and I love to hear people's stories because it's these stories and these challenges that we go through that not only build us up and allow us to be mentors to other people, but inspire people no matter where you are in life. We've got a lot of challenges going on in the world. We all are facing these challenges. Our kids are facing these challenges. We are, our parents are. I mean, I feel sorry for our parents. They're scared, and some of them are in homes, assisted living. It's been pretty traumatic. And Dr. Anna Marie is a breath of fresh air. You really are. And I just want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule, and obviously taking time out of your vacation now that I know. So thank you for that. I wouldn't have done that. But as we get started here, I want people to know a little bit about, your background as a pediatrician. And I want to come right out of the chute, letting them know about this book, because I'm really impressed with this. And I already told my wife, Mindy, about your book. So before we dive into your story, your background is in pediatrics.
Yes. Yeah.
And why did you get into that?
Yeah, when I was little, when I was like 2, 3, 5 years old, really, I had a sister named Roxy, and at that time we lived in communist Romania, and my sister was struggling with horrible abdominal pain, and all I can remember from my childhood, not all, but one of the main things is my mom sitting on the ground, rocking her and crying because my sister was in so much pain, and just remember so many doctor visits. And at one point they were giving us all kinds of medication, and I even got like roped into it because maybe we had worms, and I had to take disgusting medications for her belly pain. And it went on and on. And then one day we went to a doctor, and they said she has celiac disease. And in communist Romania, you don't do gluten-free. We didn't have food. It's like, and
Yeah, yeah.
probably people that haven't lived in communism, getting food in a communist country was, I would sit in line with my mom for 2 hours at a time to get 2 sticks of butter. The next day, my dad would go to sit in line to get a number, and he would get his number. So later in the afternoon, he could line up according to his number to get the meat ration. So that would be a 4-hour process. So gluten-free was not anything on the radar anyway. But there was a black market. My mom was resourceful. The point of all that is, when I was 5, I remember playing with my baby dolls. And I remember this little mantra that I'm going to be a pediatrician. And for a long time, I was like, oh, it just came to me one day. And as I thought about it, I was like, no, I was surrounded by pain in a young child, always with pain. And when I looked at my baby dolls, I was like, they don't have any pain because I'm their doctor. And
Yeah.
in my head, I became a doctor for children specifically. And I've been that ever since. I've never been a doctor, changed my mind to be a surgeon or to be an adult doctor. It's always been pediatrics. And I think it's been to take pain away from children, because my goal was, I think from a young age, I was like, I just can't see children in pain.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you went through other types of pain as a child too. And this is a whole, we can't get into it now, but I'd love to get into the whole communist Romania deal. There's obviously a lot of people that believe that that's the way we should go here and I'm not going to get political, but that's another conversation we'll have, because
Oh, yeah.
it's always interesting that people want to go there, have never been through it, never lived
Yeah.
through it. But
Uh-huh.
so you actually had, before I go into the rest of your story, I share your book real quick, because this is really cool. Now you're working with kids more on a functional medicine level, right? More of the wellness, but it's called The Rule of Five to Raising Healthy Kids in an Unhealthy World. And I chatted about this a little bit, and it seems just so, rational. Why wouldn't we do this? And of course, I'm going to get a book, but can you describe that and how you came up with that?
Every day in my clinic, when I'm treating children and I'm looking through children, and it's through the journey of my children were super sick. They, in 2007, they were plagued by chronic disease, asthma, eczema, and recurrent ear infections, croup, and asthma in my daughter, my son ADHD, and the worst, most disgusting snot you've ever seen. And then my little guy, who was 2, had seasonal allergies that were so bad he couldn't walk out of the house on an Easter egg hunt because he would be covered in hives and writhing in pain. Through my discovery of what's going on with them, I really found food to be at the root cause of their issue. And my journey over 12 years uncovered that really the cure to their chronic disease lies in the basics of what we need to do for our everyday existence. It wasn't any magic supplements. It wasn't magic medication. It was going back to the basics and cleaning up our lives. Over time, as I've been practicing in my clinic, my functional medicine clinic, I was like, but this is what I say every day. And everyone keeps asking me via Instagram or Facebook, whatever, what are the secrets? And I was like, well, let's put it in a book. And with a pandemic that's come this way, right? All I'm seeing is just a lot of noise and a lot of media coverage for a teeny tiny virus. And at the bottom of it all, what I say over and over again to everyone, we have an immune system. We were given an immune system to fight a virus. If our immune system is strong enough, we overtake the virus. If the virus is stronger than us, it overtakes us. But the way to work on the immune system is 5 pillars. There are 5 pillars that have medical evidence that work on our immune system and can help us fight any viral illness. And that being nutrition and sleep, movement, low stress, and low toxin environment. And if we do those 5 things, we are going to be able to thrive, and we're able to battle against any infection, viral or bacterial or otherwise, or any stress that's coming our way in our lives, and we'll be able to raise healthy children because our world has gotten so sick.
Yeah, it's interesting, because what you're saying in the functional medicine world, I know there's people out there that maybe not be familiar with this, but if you're unfamiliar with it, a lot of the doctors that are watching, of course, are familiar with it. But for the layperson, functional medicine, what you did is you just simplified functional medicine. As doctors, a lot of us try to complicate things, right? And it can be complicated when you take a deep dive with the diagnosing and the different type of testing and understanding the specific customized program you can put someone on. But what you just said works for adults. It's not just kids. This is the formula, right? And what people, it's unfortunate, because it's not only the layperson that gets misinformation from the media, it's doctors too get misinformation because they've been indoctrinated in school to somehow believe that we can actually bring more intelligence into the body from the outside than what exists in the body and the way it's created. And to think for the way that unfortunately, most doctors don't even know the difference between vaccination and immunization. They don't know and understand that true immunization, true long-term immunity can only come from the body's own T cells and so forth of building that. Whereas we bring in this vaccination from the outside, we bypass the normal barriers, right? And go straight into the blood. It's not the way the body was made. But again, a whole nother topic. What I'm impressed, you took this book, it's 5 pillars, but you have 5s throughout the book to make it easy to bring in and implement into your life. Like you had mentioned, 5 days a week, we're having dinner together at the table, because we want to bring in what you just said. We want de-stress, we want love, we want family. So you've got those in the book as well.
Right. And because one of the things that I look at the families that come in to see me, and I'm sure it's the same that they see you, is everyone goes on Google and everyone searches everything. And there's blogs and Instagram and podcasts and all the promise of greatness and this thing and that thing. And I'm constantly like, no, you're getting too complicated. We've made this too complicated. Just like you said in medical school, it's like, no, you need this algorithm of all these medications. No, you need these surgical interventions. No, you need all this stuff. And then you have all the side effects.
Yeah.
And the reason that I broke away from it, I was like, but we're not even addressing the root cause of what the root cause is the basics. And I always say, as a pediatrician, I'm like, the best form of treatment is prevention. If we spend the time, money, and energy in preventing, we
Yeah.
don't have to treat.
Yeah,
And then people look at me like,
yeah, but again, because we've all been blue pilled, but obviously the challenge there, that's not good for big pharma and the insurance companies, right? Just follow the money, people. And doctors too, if you're listening now, I know a lot of you are already out there taking the route that Anna Maria has taken, and good for you. You're the heroes out there making life change. So anyway, guys, if you're looking for the book, can they get the book? Is that out there now?
it's launching in 3 weeks.
Launching in 3 weeks. I'll make certain it gets out on my site. Just give me a reminder because I want people to have it. I'm real impressed with it. You've also got eczema course. You do a lot of things, but when you started, I want to get into your story. You left, and the reason I want to get into this now, because always on this podcast, I like to introduce people that have overcome challenges. That's a big deal to me. It inspires me. I've gone through my challenges. Everyone watching now has their challenges. And whether you're a layperson looking for a different approach in your health, let's stay on. You're going to like this. If you're a doctor looking to step out of the old broken sick care model, but you're afraid to, stay on. Listen to these stories here because it's inspiring. And without those stories, you wouldn't be Anna Maria who you are. You wouldn't be this courageous woman that has gotten to a point that you're in control of your life, you're in control of your practice, and that's better for you. It's better for your husband. I know you told me you guys moved to New Zealand because of burnout. Your husband's an orthopedic, and that old model really affected you guys, challenged your marriage and everything, and you moved to Zealand and then kind of turned around and came back to the States. And so I want people to understand, here you are, communist Romania, and then you over here, go to New Zealand, come back here, and you had to start from zero. You had to start from ground zero. What did that look like? How did you feel? What were the emotions that you went through starting over? Your husband too, coming back to the States.
Gosh, well, the coming back, I'll say that probably the hardest thing for me was actually ripping my life apart in July of 2016 and getting ready to move to New Zealand. That was so incredibly difficult because I loved my life. I was in a traditional practice. I didn't love my practice because I kept beating my head against the wall. I was already in my journey for functional medicine, and I was trying to teach in schools and do, blogging and being on social media and stuff. And I kept getting called to the principal's office because I was violating the rules of the hospital and trying to give free medical advice and opening everyone up for litigation. It was like a daily, who's calling in her in the office today? Because anyway. But I was comfortable, even though I wasn't happy, I was comfortable. And, in my marriage, we were having a lot of struggles and a lot of difficulties with his burnout, his anxiety, but it was a comfortable, you're not happy, but you're comfortable. And we got to the point where it was something had to give and we're about to break. And when my husband was like, I want to practice orthopedic surgery in New Zealand so I can experience a different culture, because maybe it's not orthopedic surgery, maybe it's the culture, before I throw it all in the trash. And because I support my family, number one of all things, number one is me. And then obviously the next thing is going to be my family and our family's wellness. And I'm going to do anything in my power to keep us together and moving forward. And so that meant I'm going to rip my life apart and move to New Zealand. It was one of the hardest things I had to do, letting go of my house, of my stuff, of my friends. I was about to launch on a clinical research study to see if my educational program in school was going to work. I had finally gotten certified to be a researcher, and all these things were on the horizon coming, and all that had to be let go. And I had to give myself permission to let go. And that is so difficult.
Yep.
And we went to New Zealand, where I will tell you, starting from scratch there was also very hard because I'm an extroverted person and I was at the top of my game in the United States. And all of a sudden I was a nobody. I had no friends, no work, and everyone, my husband had a job, my kids were going to school, and I was left at home trying to find my new identity. And my identity used to be craziness. That was my identity. I was busy. I was always busy. I'm just so busy. I have so many busy things going on, you know? And all of a sudden I wasn't busy and I didn't know my identity was busy, and that got taken away. And I was flailing, and I flailed probably for 6 months until I got my visa to work in the hospitals in New Zealand. And then I started and I was a different physician. It's incredible. In 6 months, I decompressed, de-stressed. I call it involuntary stress rehab. And I started again trying to build a reputation in New Zealand, trying to get a following, trying to work with people. I did it very differently. So by the time we came to the US, we came back, it wasn't as hard, because that the hardest part, I would say, was actually leaving and acclimating to New Zealand. Coming back into the US, I was a different person. I was not the same overstressed, over anxious, over committed person that I had been. And when I came back, I just had a different mentality. And sometimes I would surprise myself because I would walk around and I was like, I think I should join another practice because I don't know how to do this by myself, you know? And when you work in a hospital system and you come out of med school, you're just told you're only good enough for the hospital. You're only good enough for the insurance company. You're only good enough for being in another practice. You can't do it by yourself. You can't do it alone. You cannot. It was always no, no, no. So I'm like, well, I don't know. Clearly I can't do it. Cash pay, horror. I'm a pediatrician. I can't ask people to pay me money for my time. They have a little card. And I was walking around, you know, like January, right about beginning of February. And I woke up one day as I was waiting to make a deal with a practice in town that was not a good fit, but I was trying to make it work. And my husband in the background, not a good fit, not a good fit. You need to go on your own. Not a good fit. And I was like, no, but you don't understand. I'm a pediatrician. I need insurance. I can't. And I woke up one day and I was like, plenty of people seem to be doing this just fine. I don't know how they do it, but apparently it starts with 1 cup of coffee. And my first phone call was actually to you guys. And I was like, here's my money, take it. And by the way, you know, you guys are like, no, you got to come to Discovery Day. I'm like, I'm not coming to Discovery Day. I just want to give you my money. You're like, no, no, no. I'm like, no, I'm going. I made a decision. We're moving forward. And then I talked to you guys. And then the next day I had a coffee with a friend who then refer me to another friend, had a coffee with that friend, and then I had a lot of coffees with a lot of people. And slowly and surely, it was one step forward and I got a little more knowledge. And of course, you know, as you're trying to uncover a new thing, you take one step and you solve that one problem and you realize there are like 20 others. And then you're like, oh, snap. Okay, that's fine. Out of the 20, we'll start with one. And you work through all of them. And it was just one foot in front of the other. And then 6 weeks in, I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a building, I have a practice, I have a staff, I have, you know, all this was like coming together. And I don't believe in luck per se. I believe in mindset, that I changed my mind. I opened my mind to opportunities.
Right.
And I said yes to a lot of things. I went to a bone broth tasting. I didn't even know what that was. I mean, I knew bone broth. I'm saying like a bone broth tasting. That's so weird. One of my besties, who's actually with me on vacay, she was like, we're going to a bone broth tasting and you're coming with me. And I'm like, all right. And I almost didn't go. I'm like, I'm going. I went there and I met my nurse, who's now has been with me for 2.5 years and is like the rock star of the practice. She didn't want to go to that either, but somehow we managed. But because I said yes to an opportunity and I was open-minded, a partnership developed, and then it led to more partnerships and to more opportunities. And I find myself, when I look back in my previous life, I was so busy all the time and so close-minded to so many things that I would have never been able to create this kind of practice if I was still stuck in that environment, because it was too suffocating and I wouldn't answer my phone and I wouldn't return emails and I wouldn't, because, you know, opportunities come every single day. Sometimes they look like spam. Sometimes they look like an annoying colleague, but you never know what's underneath those layers unless you have the mindset and the open mind is to go, well, let me explore this a little further.
Yeah.
The worst thing that happens, I just lose 10 minutes of my life.
Yeah. So You said a couple of things here, and this is real important. And I'll get back into our relationship because we started working together in February of 18, met in October 17, February 18.
Yes.
Is that right? 2018.
2018. You're right. No, you're right.
2018, yeah. And I'm, you know, and what's interesting, you said before you guys went to New Zealand, not happy but comfortable. Do you understand? This is the biggest thing that I see amongst not just doctors, just individuals as a whole. Now, a lot of people are in situations maybe they're not in their own job and stuff, and I understand there's challenges there. And I'm not going to go there now. I'm going to go right straight to the doctor or the business person that has their own business practice, and or you know, not even that, just people that you know that are in a situation like a doctor that can have their own practice, but they're staying in a situation, and it really comes down to this: it's fear. They want a better life. They want. It's not okay to just be content. I mean, it's one thing. It's okay. I guess I'm content, but I'm going to go for my greatness. I'm grateful, but I'm going to go here. And so many people hold off on that, and they don't know what they're missing in life because they never took the chance. They're always looking for, well, it's not the right time. I just did a video on that, by the way. It's not. Oh, it's got to be the perfect time. No, the perfect time it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. And if you wait for it, life just passes you by. And you're in a situation that your husband, thank God, said, no, do your own thing. And you recognize, I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm not a healthpreneur. And you found us and things worked out. But you also mentioned busy versus productive. And we know that busyness, what you just said is the busyness kept me away from seeing my opportunities, right? I see an opportunity. I'm having coffee. I'm actually being productive. I'm looking, I'm researching instead of it's just not the right time. I'm busy, and busy seldom, if ever corresponds to success. Seldom does it correspond to adding significance in someone else's life, right?
So true. So true. And I want to say one thing you said about fear is that people are afraid, and we're afraid because I cannot tell you with certainty that you're going to succeed. So we're afraid of failure because people like, you know, I didn't talk about my book. They're like, why aren't you talking about your book? And I'm like, well, I don't know why. And I'm like, afraid of failing. So what if you fail? It's a book. You're not hurting someone. Like no one's dying. You know, I'm a physician. I'm like, I'm afraid of like killing people and maiming them, you know, from a medical perspective, but your book failing is, I mean, I obviously want to be successful, but I'm just saying for all of these things, like, oh, I don't want to start my practice because I'm afraid I'm going to fail. Okay, what does that look like? I'm afraid that no one will know me. I'm afraid because we all want certainty. You know, I deal with parents all the time that I know my kids are picky eaters and they're really sick. And I know what to do because I know what you're going to tell us. I had a family is like, oh, you're going to charge me a lot of money to tell me to eat fruits and vegetables. And I'm like, that is exactly what I'm going to tell you to do. And that's exactly what happens here. And she was like, oh, and I'm like, because you're afraid that if you do change your life to a healthier, you're not going to get the results you have in your mind. What if I change my lifestyle and I change my diet, but my eczema is not better? So you're eating better, but we are looking for certainty. I want with certainty to know that I'm not going to fail. And that is just the biggest block, I think, to really moving forward.
Well, again, it's what we've been indoctrinated to believe. It holds people into bondage. It's kind of like the way I look at it. The people who fell are the people that don't move, right? So why didn't fail? Yeah, you did, because if I could look into your future, if you would have taken that path, and here's the life you're living, here's the man that you married, here's the woman you married, here's your lifestyle, here are the people you changed. You didn't do it, so you failed. A series of failures is what brings success, right? Success doesn't come to anyone without a series of failures, because you can't learn anything without doing something and figuring out, okay, I can do it a better way. Okay, was that a failure? No, I learned I can do it a better way. So, you're right on that stuff. And it's hard to get through to people. Certainty. Well, I want to be certain. Then bring your intention. You bring your intention, I'll bring my intention. That's as certain as you get. And you're right. People are you're just going to tell me to eat fruits and vegetables. Someone needs to, and someone needs to hold you accountable, and someone needs to show you how to make it work, how to make it possible. Someone needs to mentor you. Someone needs to celebrate with you. Someone needs to be able to put this formula together. Does that mean that you're going to pay me money? It means you're going to invest in yourself. And yes, that means that I'm going to be able to get a return of value for my expertise in putting this together and helping you create a new life for you and your kids, which is really what this is all about, right? Because the other thing that doctors have, like you had said, oh my God, people have a card, they're going to want to use it and they're not going to want to pay me. Well, right now, I know that when you first started with us, are you okay talking numbers?
Yeah, you go ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
of course.
and the only reason I do this is because there are people that think, and this goes to the layperson too. If you want to be healthy, if you want to be empowered, you need a coach. And I think the right kind of doctor needs to be a coach. They need to be a mentor, not just a doctor. And you're not going to get this from insurance. So if you're looking for a doctor and you want someone to empower you, you need to invest in yourself. You need to invest in yourself. Just like if you hired a personal trainer. The personal trainer, you can't be certain that they're going to fix you because they're not. You can be uncertain you'll bring the intention and that they have a track record that they're going to help you get to this destination, and you can't put a price tag on that. If you're living healthy and your gut problems go away and you're 20 pounds lighter and your sex dries up, I don't know how you put a price tag on that. But a lot of doctors watch, and I want to help them know, because you can't have a successful practice if you don't generate profit. It can't happen.
It can't happen.
And so I know in 2 weeks, once you started with us, you were impacting people's lives. You weren't doing insurance. You're helping people. You're putting them on customized programs. I think in that first 2 weeks, you generated, from opening the practice, I think you generated $21,000 in the first 2 weeks. And within your first year, you generated how much per month?
First year was, we were at 450 net. No, not gross. Sorry, 450.
But before the end of the year, you were generating $83,000 a month.
Right.
Within your first year. Now, again,
Yeah.
The reason I'm bringing this up, it's not all about the money, but for whoever listened, if you're a layperson, trust me, you want more doctors like Anna Maria. And if they can't make a profit in their practice, because they got overhead behind this, guys, if they can't generate a profit, they got to fall back on insurance. And here's what insurance is going to cover for you. Certain diagnostics, okay, meds, surgery, they're going to put chemical, there's nothing there that has to do with health. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's all sick.
It's all sickness care, and it's going to make you sick. So for doctors, understand, have the guts, have the courage to say, it's not okay not being happy but content. It's not okay. It's not acceptable. Have the courage to not live in bondage and fear, because you're failing when you do that. That's the failure. Have the certainty, and that'll come by bringing intention and making a commitment that you will implement. When you worked with us, this is a relationship of a coach-client, just like the relationship you have with your kids and their parents. You never make a promise to fix anyone, because that's an illusion. We're not God. You do make a promise that you have the expertise and the background and the formula in the customized program to help them if they will co-labor. Would that be the easiest way to explain that?
That's absolutely. I'm not doing it. They have to do it. I put forth the plan.
Right. And so in return, there's an exchange of value, like anyone hiring a coach or a personal trainer or a nutritionist or a functional medicine pediatrician. And when that's set up that way, you're able to expand your practice. You're able to hire the nurse that you had mentioned earlier. You're able to build a team. You're able to put programs together to empower people to where they can be their own doctor, and their family they can teach, et cetera, et cetera. So did you find it? I know there's challenges, but to grow that quickly from $0 to $80,000 a month in your first year, what did it end up being less of a challenge than what you thought? I know there's challenges, but did you find that people absolutely, well, I have to use my insurance card, or it wasn't so?
It was some people, it was no big deal. And there was the hardest part probably is the people that came in, they said they wanted help, but they really didn't. And it was because I'm not going to convince you. If you're coming in
No,
and you're truly are just feeling like it's a sales pitch, this is a bait and switch. I was like, then this is not for you. Thanks for coming. I have patients that came in and they're like, oh, we love everything you're saying, but we're not going to be able to cut out sugar. We can't work together, and I would say that was the hardest thing because I'm like, I know I can give you this plan. And it breaks my heart that you have this opportunity. And the reason you're saying no is because you can't do it or you won't allow yourself. Now you can't do it.
They choose not to do it, not can't.
You choose not to do it. Everyone can do it. Everyone can do it, but you choose not to do it. And I would say that was really hard. It was, making quota in the beginning was really stressful because you freak out. I mean, that's just the truth. The 20th of the month comes in and you're like, do we make quota? But, it lights a fire under everybody's tush. But that builds a stronger team. So of course it's stressful, but did I lose sleep over it? No, I lose sleep over people that are not, I'll tell you what I lose sleep over. People that pay me a hefty price and do nothing. That drives me absolutely batty. So they'll write a check for thousands and then we have to chase them down for appointments. And they don't answer. We have to chase them down for this and they're not getting the result. They're not upset and they're not angry.
Yeah,
but
they were hoping for, let me buy my results. And it doesn't work that way. So as long as you're, when I was in practice, I was up front with them very much and I didn't accept, there was an interview, just like when I take clients now, there's an interview. And I didn't take everyone. And some people go, well, I have to take everyone. No, you don't. They can find the doctor that fits them better. If they're looking for boo-boo care, let them go to a boo-boo care doctor. If they're looking for a coach and they want to bring their greatness out, you're the coach. Before we run out of time, is there a client? I like to hear good stories. I like to hear it's inspiring stories. Can you think of a patient, a child, or anyone that would be interesting to the audience? Just a good.
Well, I'll tell you, yes, actually, yes, it just happened yesterday and it totally made me cry. I might cry. I had she's a 12-year-old girl and I've known them socially and they came asking for help. And it was actually a difficult onboarding because the father was not convinced that he was pretty much had 1,000 excuses why his daughter doesn't have any issues. Well, it turns out that the child had anorexia and she also had SIBO and we were on a bad path. And we started working together about 7 months ago now. And it was really rough going in the beginning. And, her belly pain, SIBO got better. The anorexia.
Real quickly, so for the audience, can you make certain everyone knows what SIBO is?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Yes, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And for her, it was manifesting as daily horrible belly pain many times a day with diarrhea every morning. And all foods were hurting her belly. And she was very bloated. And on top of that, she also became afraid of food and started restricting food due to her underlying anxiety. And we started working together. Anyway, 7 months in, doing great. We had a major discussion on mindset and we did hit a wall where I was like, I gave her some ultimatums and that girl just turned it all the way around and she blossomed. It was we hit our sweet spot as everybody does. When you go through the programs, I always say, you hit your sweet spot. And when you hit it, I don't have to tell you, you know where you are. And all of a sudden it's just and it works. And so we hit the sweet spot and she's doing great. She was able to go to camp. She couldn't believe that she went to camp. She went back to school. And yesterday she sent me a message. It was just a question about adjusting to school. And at the end of it, she's like, when you and I were talking about the miracle morning and you told me that one of your daily mantras is to transform your goal is to transform 10,000 children's lives. And she said, please put me on the list because I am now one of them.
Nice.
And I was like,
nice. You know what? When I was, and thanks for sharing that, because it's when I was in practice, because I was in the old model for a while, and when I got into functional medicine, when people hit their sweet spot, I would pull them aside and I'd say, I want to hear the story, and they would share it, and I'd say, please, would you be comfortable sharing that, so other people know that there's a better way, right, than just the sick care model, and I'd ask them, was it worth it? They said, of course it was worth it. Was it worth the time and the change? They said, it's not hard. It's just different. And I said, you invested your own money, your hard-earned money into this. Was it worth it? And they said, Dr. Webb, you can't put a price tag on it. And this is what people don't recognize is you can't put a price tag on it. And I know one of the things you'd said, you recognized your true value was in your coaching, not the stuff so much that you did. And this is something that people get to go through and they've resolved the situation. When you were back in the traditional model, did you ever see results like this?
No, not like this.
Ever. And it's like, okay, that's what insurance will get you. It'll get you this stuff that keeps people sick forever. We think it's free. It's not. It's costing all of us. Insurance companies are making a crap load of money. Pharmaceutical companies are making a crap load of money. These CEOs are making a crap load of money, and people are getting sick, and doctors are going broke, and doctors are being burnt out. So this is a different approach. I think I call you guys the new breed of doctor. I have utmost respect for your courage for coming here and sharing this story. And because we don't get to share everything, one more question, then I want to make certain that I can make certain people can get a hold of you, because I've got probably some doctors that would love to maybe email you or something if you're open to that.
Sure.
There's probably people with kids that want to find out. I know you do virtual.
Yeah, I have a virtual pediatrics course now. So for people that our practice is, we're on a massive wait list for the general care, but I do a virtual course now, so everybody can get in and get access.
Okay, so if I'm here in wherever I am, I can still possibly work with you with my. Okay, so that's a beautiful thing. So you know what? Go ahead, real quick. Your site, just so they get this, and I'll say it twice. It's drannamaria.com. Is that the best place to go?
Yes. Yep.
So that would be drannamaria.com. drannamaria.com. So if you want to get in touch with her, that would be the place to go. So for some of the practice, the doctors or healthcare professionals watching this, and they're petrified, but they're burnt out. They're overwhelmed. They're afraid to take in the leap that you did is just somehow not the right time for them or not the place. For that person that's just in where you were, not happy, but maybe content, what would you tell them?
There's so much opportunity out there. My husband came back from New Zealand and went back to his orthopedic clinic, and then quit in December. And now he found a different way of doing it. He actually works 5 days a month in Indiana and is so happy because he's no longer part of the traditional situation. But there's so many opportunities in medicine, and it's ingrained in our head that the only way to do it, you're only worth what the insurance pays you. And probably I should have said that my hardest thing about making quota is I was embarrassed to tell people how much I charge per hour for their initial consultation. And we were at that time $87. And I was embarrassed that I would have to ask people for money. It was probably the hardest thing. And one of the things that you said, you're like, but you're more than $87 an hour. Your plumber is more than $87 an hour. And I would say that was a hard challenge. And shame on us, on the medical system, making doctors feel like we're worth nothing, that we should give free medical advice, that we should give free medical care, when that's not. It's a political issue. It is not us going to medical school that have created this issue. We're just trying to help people. And I would say you're worth it. You're worth more than what they're paying, whatever you're doing right now. And there's so many opportunities, and life is way too short, and it's going to be hard, and it's difficult to break apart, and it's difficult to take that first step. I would never go back to where I was. My husband will never go back. And you never want to use never. I will tell you, I am never going that way. I'm only going in the other direction, because once you see the possibilities, you can't unsee. And once you take a step forward, you are not taking a step back. Even if that step is hard, even if you fall on your face, you're like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to get back up, and I'm going to You surround yourself with people that are in your same genre, just like the people that, eat poor quality food and hang out with people that eat poor quality food. Once they get on a health track, they change their friends. The people that step out of the traditional model, you're going to change your friends because you hang out with the entrepreneurs, and everyone that surrounds me is like, and then I'm going to do this and I'm going to write a book. I wrote a book because all these people are writing a book, and I'm on TV. I'm like, I need to be on TV. It just pushes you into the next
That's
level.
right.
Because you took the first step into the unknown, and it's not as scary as you think it is.
Yeah. What's the favorite thing? And then we'll leave. What's your favorite thing about working with us, FPC? What has been the biggest?
When I have a problem and I hit a wall, I pick up the phone and I get help, and we get immediate results. I mean, I have so many different stories. It's not always like roses. Let me tell you something. We've fallen on our face. We months we didn't make quota. There are months when the phone didn't ring. There are months when people wanted refunds. It's not, but let me tell you, when you hit that wall and you're feeling really bad, you just pick up the phone and you make a call. And my coaches have always been like, this is our plan. This is how we're moving forward. And it works.
Yeah. Well, if you've got the guts and the courage to be an entrepreneur or a healthpreneur, open up your own business, you're always going to have challenges. But is the payoff worth it? Is the lifestyle, the freedom, doing things on your terms?
It's not even anything that you can put, just like people, you can't put price on your wellness. You can't put price on doing medicine the way you think is right. I go to work every single day, and I am grateful for being able to, I feel like I'm truly practicing medicine in my current environment.
Get to do things on your terms. Thank you for having the courage. Thank you for being here and sharing it. I know you've impacted a lot of people. You've impacted me. We're honored to work with you, have you as a client. You've inspired a lot of people. So keep doing that. And anything we can do. Again, guys, drannamaria.com, DRANA Maria, MARIA.com. Questions, if you want to work with her as your doctor, that's the way to go. Have a wonderful rest of your vacation. Sorry we interrupted it a little bit.
Awesome.
Anyway, can't wait to see you live quarterly.
Awesome. I'm so grateful for you, for everything that you've done, and for being part of your tribe. It's been a great journey.
Yeah, for us too. So God bless.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.